But Shedeur Sanders is starting to look good in Cleveland, and he's finally getting a shot as the Browns starting quarterback. And Kevin Stefanski reported that Shedeur Sanders will be QB1 the rest of the way this season. He's finally going to get a shot over Gabriel, over, of course, Deshaun Watson, who was designated to return. Shedeur Sanders is going to take the gig the rest of the way. And look, he looked really good in the game this last week. The only reason they lost is on a 2-point conversion play where they had him off the field. That's a coaching issue by far. That's not a Shedeur Sanders issue. And, say what you want about Shedeur Sanders when it comes to the drama behind it. Some people don't like the way he talks to media. The guy can ball out. The guy can play really good. And we saw it at Colorado how he could play. And now he's finally starting to show. And if you can get a franchise type quarterback in Cleveland, something that they haven't had. I mean, how many times do you see the funny things of people in the tailgates wearing jerseys that have tails because they're all different nameplates about the same jersey, from Tim Couch all the way probably to Shedeur Sanders now? This is interesting. And they did lose in a quick game to the Tennessee Titans. They lost 31-29. Again, that 2-point conversion was the biggest deal. But Shedeur Sanders looked good here, and it's an exciting time for him and potentially having their answer at quarterback for the future.
That would be bold. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the biggest Shedeur fan. I was actually actively sitting here trying to make a comparison to a Dancing with the Stars star from this last season. The best thing I could come up with was Whitney, although I don't necessarily think that's the best play. The argument was that Whitney is getting better every week. I thought she was good when she came into the competition. I'm just looking at this Kevin Stefanski quote. Yes, he has constantly and consistently gotten better. I feel good about where his development is heading. And the reason I use Whitney is because the public narrative around him has been so harsh, is maybe not the right word, but certainly loud.
I think harsh is a good word.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where he's not helping it either, and he has to be really, really good. Like, he has to come into this role and play at probably an unfair level just to keep the heat a little bit cooler. I'm not saying it's fair, but he's also going into press conferences acting as a mime, right? Like, he's kind of stoking his own fire here. So, look at what happened to Whitney on Dancing with the Stars. Just unfair elimination just because of the public narrative. I hope that doesn't happen for Shedeur. But looking at the rest of their schedule, he's just going to have to get it done. He's got a Bears team that'll be a fun showdown between he and Caleb, and then a Bills team that is going to be challenging. I'm not sure. Maybe we should take a look at the Bills schedule because they seem to be playing everyone we're talking about.
Right.
And then the Steelers and the Bengals, they're like, he has gettable games in this lineup, but he has to step up and end this season strong. So the narrative going into next year isn't too negative to cause problems all offseason is kind of where I was going with that point.
Cleveland's been in the gutter for how long? I mean, it feels like it's been forever that Cleveland haven't found themselves in a spot. They were in the playoffs a few years ago when that crazy game against the Steelers. I remember that does feel like a decade ago. And honestly, I said a few years ago, it might be closer to a decade because I think Roethlisberger was the quarterback in that game. But Shedeur Sanders went for 23 for 42, 364, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. When I look at this box score right away, of course, the almost 400 yards pops out to me. But if you want to nitpick, and you're definitely going to have people who nitpick, being close to 50% completion is not going to cut it. You got to obviously be a lot better than that. On the flip side, though, your number one overall pick, Cam Ward, was 50% as well in that game, 14 for 28. So this is just a young rookie quarterback thing, trying to understand the game, trying to get better. What is the expectation for a Cleveland Browns quarterback? We just mentioned it. People are walking around with so many nameplates on. Like, that's the thing about the Cleveland Browns quarterback. You don't talk about like, Bernie Kosar is the best quarterback in Cleveland Browns history or whatever like that. No, you're talking about the Johnny Manziels, the Tim Couches, the Kelly Holcombs. You're talking about all those that are on the nameplates of all the fans that are wearing them over and over again, because there's been 80 quarterbacks in the last 13 seconds for the Cleveland Browns. So having Shedeur Sanders hopefully step up and become maybe an answer for them, so they don't have to use another draft pick on a quarterback early next season. I mean, even if they just think they have an answer, say we're going to roll with him one full season, see what they got, build some things around him. that could get Cleveland out of the gutter. It's not like the AFC North is world beaters this year. Cleveland has an opportunity with a good quarterback and a solid surrounding cast to get themselves in the postseason. Probably any other division, this is the best one to do it in.
Yeah, I mean, what would you say that the rest of the season, the expectation isn't necessarily wins and losses, but more so actually how he plays? Because when you look at standings, I mean, they're 3-10. They do. I feel like it comes down to actual play, not wins and losses.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, you can definitely hope play the entire game when it comes to you want to lose because you want to have a better draft pick. There's no lottery in the NFL yet. I think that's coming eventually, but there's still the tank issues when it comes to teams. And they just lost to a team that was predicted to be the number one seed in the Tennessee Titans. Now they still have a game on them. They're 3-10. Titans are 2-11. But no, I don't think wins mean anything. They're already eliminated from the playoffs. You going 7-10, you winning out and going 7-10 and being in the middle of the pack doesn't help you for the future. But if that happens, that obviously guarantees you that you've for Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur Sanders leads you to 4-0 and some of those wins are against big teams like playoff contending teams, you mentioned the Bills. Who's some of the other games that you mentioned that are playing? They have
Bengals
Bears,
in there.
who are
You
the
got
number one seed in the
Bears.
NFC. Steelers, Bengals. Yeah, I mean, those are two divisional games. If you found a way to win out, that's huge. That changes the entire narrative. No one's talking about the Browns need a quarterback if you go 7-10 next year or the end of the season. But if you still go 3-14 and you show that Shedeur Sanders can do exactly that same stat line, maybe his completions get better, he shows progression every week, like Kevin Stefanski said, then I think you're in a good boat. And there's obviously the entire other consideration to like, does Kevin Stefanski return? Right. That's still a big question up in the air. Like Kevin Stefanski's agents, there's rumors that are swirling that Stefanski would be interested in college openings. You don't just hear that out of the blue. Their agents are pushing that out there for a reason, right? It's because that they don't feel safe about his job security in Cleveland after what the couple seasons he's had. So it makes you wonder if they have a brand new coach in there. If Shedeur Sanders, this is his audition right now, that new coach, will they be happy with a guy like Shedeur Sanders as their QB1 of the future? But either way, I think they have to give him a full route. He shouldn't, if he's healthy, he should play every single snap on offense, including 2-point conversions.
Including 2-point conversions. Yeah, the Stefanski wrinkle is very interesting because I remember a few years ago when Cleveland made that playoff push with Flacco and being like, yo, this Stefanski guy is the real deal. Like, he's going to turn this program around, and they still haven't quite got over the hump. Looking at Shedeur Sanders and bringing that up, I do wonder if Stefanski's, got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then this isn't going to be the case. But is there an element to this that, maybe Stefanski doesn't necessarily want Shedeur to shine too early? I know this is a negative viewpoint, okay? But they waited forever to draft him. They waited forever to put him on the field. I feel like Stefanski's going to have certainly a rooting interest that, well, we were right in the fact that he wasn't ready yet. We were right in the fact that if we put him out there, it was going to take a little bit to come up to speed. I'm not saying that they're going to like explicitly call plays for Shedeur to fail because obviously they want to succeed on some level, but I wonder if there's going to be like they're tanking. You don't necessarily want him to look like Tom Brady right out the gates because it makes you look bad because you waited to play him. Don't sleep on the fact that Shedeur might be better than his stats show the rest of this season. It's just a little tin hat for you.
The biggest thing that I take away from the whole Shedeur Sanders, Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland Browns thing is that there are no ties between Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders when it comes to, job security. This wasn't Stefanski's guy. Remember, he fell crazy in the NFL draft. He was projected to be a top 5 pick, and he goes, what, in the 4th round? It was insane, right?
Yeah.
So, obviously, he's not tied to Kevin Stefanski. So if Stefanski tries to push that narrative, if Shedeur Sanders steps up and is that guy, that doesn't mean that Stefanski's safe. That might mean, okay, we need to go get a better head coach to surround Shedeur Sanders and the supporting cast. So, yeah, this offseason can be really interesting for the Cleveland Browns this year. No doubt about it.